All right, thanks for the great introduction. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zhao Dong. I'm going to, from Meta Reliable Research. I'm going to present a paper today. I want to point out most of this work is done by the first author, Songying Wu, who were our intern together. He's an awesome student. Just because of visa issue, he cannot come here present his paper. But he will join me for the Q&A session later. Okay? Let's get started. We all know 3D can render at over 100 FPS, which is great for interactivity. But today's capture flow are still offline, right? There's no immediate feedback to guide the capture decisions. For example, you don't know whether you need to rescan some region after you see your reconstruction results, right? That's, people think about, okay, online molecular pipeline could be help with this, but there's a catch. Recent systems like Monocular, which is one of the very good paper from CVPR last year, offered online molecular reconstruction. They provide instant feedback, which is valuable. However, the results are often blurry, especially in the fine geometry and the texture details. This motivates our work, trying to keep the immediate feedback, but also we would like to lift up the fidelity. This sounds simple, but it's a challenge to achieve. Basically, we aim for the best of both worlds. We want to keep the immediate feedback during the capture, but also we want to keep the high-quality reconstruction comparable to the offline method. So the challenge is to grow and optimize the Gaussian scene representation on the fly and under a very tight compute budget. Also, we want to make sure there's no duplicating or missing the content in the scene. So think about the pipeline. We received a molecular stream and small and partial view arriving over time. This frame will be used for reconstructing high-quality scene incrementally. The challenge for this task are, it works under a streaming setting which only contains a partial observation of your scene, and the computation budget is very limited because we want to get interactive feedback. Therefore, we divided the problem into two parts: how to distribute the Gaussian and how to optimize the Gaussian. And also, we have two different modules to address these two parts. Let's start with the first part, how to distribute the Gaussian. So in practice, the same screen resolution for the scene can correspond to very different word scales. For example, distant region needs fewer and larger Gaussians, and the closer region needs many small Gaussians. A naive approach using the same resolution for different scales will either missing or duplicating the details, and also has very high memory cost. Therefore, we need a principled and scalable way to decide the occupancy across different scale. Sorry, I should put it. So to achieve this, we propose an adaptive occupancy map to handle both coarse and fine queries. The result is an adaptive scale-aware insertion policy, dense where the camera is close and sparse where it is far away. Let me unpack the multiple level hashing strategy now. In the scene, for a given query position, a straightforward way to query a large occupancy map, right? Which is very inefficient, it's very obvious. If we consider position is occupied, it should be marked as in the occupancy maps on the different resolution or levels. However, for the final level, it's still inefficient. So therefore, we applied the hash function on top of that, so that the occupancy map in each level only require a small amount of voxels, actually, just like this. With this, when querying the multi-level occupancy hashing voxels, it first gets the integer coordinates of the different level of current level, then apply the hashing function to get the index of the corresponding voxel, then repeat this operation until it reaches the desired level. All the query results will be to a logic ended together to determine whether the current position is occupied or not. To update the multi-level occupancy hashing voxels, the operations are very, very similar. Please refer to the paper for the technical details. So our multi-level occupancy hashing voxel, or MOHV structures, regularize Gaussians, which takes the newly generated Gaussian from the image. There's three benefits of that. First, there's no duplications, thanks to the occupancy map we have. Second, detail on demand. Since final levels add Gaussians when we get closer. Third, speed, because hashing is embarrassingly parallel and can run like under 10 milliseconds even on a CPU implementation. All right, with all this, qualitatively, you can see the difference. Compared to the baseline without MOHV, our method avoids the clumps of the redundant splats and recover more structure in both near and middle range regions. Here is the zoom-in result. You are going to see this kind of quality difference more obviously. So that's the first part. Let's look at the second part. When the Gaussian has been distributed in the world space, how to optimize this part? How to optimize these Gaussians? In a very natural way, if we only focus on the local view, it's very fast but heavily biased. The error will accumulate in the area for the area which is temporarily out of my current view. If we're optimizing all the history, it's comprehensive, but it's very prohibitive, right? So too many redundant gradients and no interactivity. Therefore, we need an informed subset per step. Our answer for this is co-visibility and the error based on distance. So we measure the co-visibility. We measure the co-visibility to pick the Gaussian seen together with the current view to constrain the local regions. Then for the globally reconstructed regions, to avoid the redundancy, we selected the views based on their reconstruction errors and distance to balance the quality and the efficiency. Right, now let's see some results over time. As you can see here, right, across the capture session, no matter at which timestamp, actually, our strategy maintains a high-quality global map without sacrificing the performance. That's basically the method. With the method in place, let's look at the results now. First, here, we reconstruct from a single moving camera stream and update the Gaussian scene online at 5 to 10 FPS. Basically, the camera here is using the area glass, which is Zhao Yang just presented. The system provides immediate visual feedback for both color and depth, so user can adapt the capture on the spot to close the gaps or improve the coverage. Here are more diverse results across the synthetic, indoor, and outdoor scene. We maintain very stable geometry and sharper texture than the prior online method. The method gratefully scales the Gaussian budget and across different viewpoints, avoiding both oversplatting and undersampling. Let's inspect the multi-level details more. As we zoom in, the final level introduces additional Gaussians right where new details become resolvable. Rendered results approach the reference quality while keeping the representation compact at a distance. This is exactly the behavior we want for the interactive capture. Against the contemporary online molecular method, our reconstruction retains age and the small structure that are typically blurred or washed out. Also, especially for the fine-scale details like surface details and texture. And the trend also holds across for the outdoor scene here. You are going to see, we continue to see cleaner geometry and fewer artifacts on the plants. All right? Moreover, our pipeline mapper works with multiple tracking sources, including like the standard OpsLAM3 and also the project area tracking. The flexibility means our reconstruction core can be plugged into different camera tracking systems. And here's a side-by-side comparison. As you can see, with area tracking and OpsLAM3, we obtain comparable reconstruction quality. Both align well with the reference. This shows our method is robust compared to a reasonable variation in pose quality and the sensor pipeline. Here is an interesting example. The offline 3D GS runs with 1.78 million Gaussians and optimized for more than 1 hour, set a very high quality bar. Our online system uses only 341K Gaussians, but it runs at 5 to 10 FPS, have already captured most of the details. With a brief post-refinement taking about a few minutes, we further close the gap. You can see the PSNR number here. But please keep in mind, we have all the quality, but we enjoy the immediate feedback during the capture. Here is zoom in, you see the quality difference. You can even see, actually, our quality is even better than the offline optimization with more than 1 hour. All right, to summarize, we enabled immediate feedback during the molecular capture and deliver high-quality reconstruction, multi-level occupancy Hessian distribution Gaussians without distributed Gaussians without duplication, and adds detail on demand. co-visibility aware optimization selects effective updates on the very tight budget. Together, these components makes online reconstruction practical without giving up quality. All right, here's our project page. You can go there, see more details. We are also going to release our code very soon. All right, thank you. That's all. That's my talk.